I've been seeing lots of videos over the last couple of months, over the last 8 months now, about this Brotherhood of Three and all these updates on Myanmar that I feel like it's time for me to speak. Who am I? I'm a veteran. I ran intel cells in a couple of wars, decided to retire in Myanmar, have a Myanmar wife and family. I'm not fluent in the language, but I speak a hell of a lot more than the journalists that are writing news articles and video articles that you find in YouTube. So I want to talk about it a little bit. And yeah, I'm wearing a green shirt from the Army. I'm not in the Army anymore. This has nothing to do with it. Just I bought, I don't know, not only bought, I had probably 100 of these shirts for free. So when I lounge around the house, I wear old Army shirts because I just have hundreds of them. Especially when you go to war, every month you get a new shipment of shirts and socks. So if you put your name on the list, which I did because I wanted a lot of freak stuff. But anyway, so information operations is something that's really integral to current world warfare. And we say world warfare, yes, there's a world war going on, and most people are too fucking stupid to figure it out. Anyway, I care about Myanmar, right? And I don't want to shit where I eat. So I don't involve myself in politics. I have friends on all sides. Anybody that wants to talk, I'll talk openly, I'll talk directly, but I don't take a side. But so in January, I saw the first article about this Brotherhood of Three. It made me really concerned. Because it is all of a sudden, all these news articles, and a lot of them were coming from China news sources and from left-wing American news sources. And you know how the news works, they all copy each other because they're on the same side anyway. But the news is a weapon when it comes to information operations or influence operations. And the masses of the public, not just in Myanmar, but in the US and Europe, around the world, are part of the fog of war in the current type of warfare that we're fighting, that our countries are fighting. I'm not fighting anymore. I wish I was. I'd love to fucking kill some people, but that's not how it works anymore. So anyway, all of a sudden there was this shift in the news. And I've worked on information campaigns before, right? I've participated, so I know how they work. A sudden shift in the news all across the board of news sources means that a country's behind it. When it's some sporadic thing, it'll start with one news agency, and then after a couple weeks, you'll start to see it getting picked up by other sources. But this was all at once. And China has so many news sources, it's ridiculous. But anyway, why does this matter? So prior to the coup or series of coups that happened a few years ago, there had been, for the first time, you have all these different groups around Myanmar that have been fighting the government forever, right? Since they came into existence, because they were never a country before, right? They just happened to be areas that were outside of the bounds of other treaties that the British had with other countries and places, and beyond what was ever, the Mughals or any other Indian empire, even though it was still the British East India Company, and then the Crown. Anyway, these groups have always been fighting each other for tens of thousands of years. You go to one valley in Myanmar, the next valley speaks an entire different language family, right? English and Hindi are the same language family, right? This is 10,000 years of separation, at least, from one valley to another. These are separate peoples, and each of them have their own interests, right? No one else matters to them in the world except for themselves. And part of the problem, everybody, the stronger groups that try to submit constitutions for a new government, they're all self-serving. Every proposed constitution serves their own group and no others, and that's why nobody will ever agree on any proposed constitution. Anyway, so suddenly all these news started, but prior to the coups and prior to the virus, right, you had the Alliance of Seven, right? For years, these groups, they cooperated a little, but, in like 2018, I guess, this Alliance of Seven was really the headlines. And then after the coups, it went to the PDF, right? And, it was attention to the numbers, right? Just made sense. Winning or not, I'm not arguing. Who should win, I don't care. Like, I just care that I'm allowed to live there for whoever's in control. When I say there, I'm in Thailand at the moment. He's getting the Myanmar visas really hard for Americans right now. Min Aung Hlaing doesn't like us. If I was Russian, I'd get a visa like that. But anyway, focus. The Alliance of Seven was very successful, and it is, in my opinion, still the most successful alliance going on. I would say even, it's a different kind of success than the successes the PDF have had, because they have no consolidated leadership. They don't really stand for any one thing. It's just that they're all against the government. But when it comes to true warfare, the Alliance of Seven had hit upon some big success that had never been hit upon before in my knowledge of their history. So when it shifted to this Brotherhood of Three all of a sudden, and it really confused me. So I look at the groups, right? You got the MDNA. What's the other name? One of them's communist, Shan, related to the Chinese. Another is not communist, but descended of the Republic of China. They got their asses handed to them because Chiang Kai-shek's plan was genius, but the generals he left weren't friendly to the natives, and you don't get to stay in Myanmar if the natives don't want you there. And then, so they had these Shan groups aligned with China, then the Arakan army and the Chin. Well, what sticks out to me, right, nobody's ever successfully invaded Myanmar without help from people within Myanmar, right? The British were helped by the Chin, Kachin, Kayin, Kayat, the Christian groups in the mountains that didn't like the king in Mandalay, and more than happy to accept a new doorway to global trade, right? The British controlled them very easily because the British were invited in, right? They were guests, basically, from a Myanmar minority perspective. Then the Arakan army, why would they assist with the Chinese? Well, the pipeline to Sittwe, that is worth so much fucking money that there's no limit to what China will spend on it, right? Because the U.S.'s whole policy is containment in the Pacific, right, around the South China Sea. If they were to get direct access through Myanmar, say through conquest of territory, it doesn't have to be the whole country, just a corridor to the sea. They upturn the entire United States and global strategy to contain them. That's pretty prolific. And what does the Chin offer them? Well, India's got a problem with China, and they stand off with each other. I hope this fucking timer doesn't run out. So it would allow the Chinese to flank the Indian army in the north. If the Shan were to invite the Chinese in, Mandalay is already considered a Chinese city by, the dialogue of most Myanmar people. So they come in, take Mandalay, suppress the PDF and Sagaing, link up with Arakan, and it's a win-win-win-win-win for China, assuming that all the Myanmar people don't unite, which is a historical precedent. I'm pretty sure that they will. But my big concern is the Chinese attacking Myanmar to do all of this, because Min Aung Hlaing might take it up the ass for China, but he likes Russia better. It's going to stop me. So this is my fear, right? That the Shan invite the PLA in. They tell the world, oh, we're peacekeepers. Oh, yeah, that was the other part of the international messaging about these crime syndicates along the border of the Myanmar frauding all the Chinese and kidnapping people from all over Asia to work as slaves and frauding people out of their money. Well, those are all run by the triads, which are under the CCP, right? The CCP pays Myanmar to allow it. They'll say that the military runs it, but that's not the case. They hire Myanmar individuals as mercenaries to wear a uniform. I've met these mercenaries and got this, firsthand out of their mouths, that they work for China. They don't work for Myanmar. Right? They don't wear the same patches. So all those border areas with all the fucking crime, China's in control. Myanmar's not making the money off the drugs. They're not making the money off the fraud. They're just a couple generals getting paid on the side to let China make all the fucking money they want. But it's never enough for China. And Sun Tzu said, in order to entice your enemy, you attack something he cannot afford not to defend. So that leaves, in my case, my two biggest concerns, the Strait of Malacca and Myanmar, as the possible targets that China could take. The thing is, Strait of Malacca, the U.S., no choice, but we do have a lot of advantages. And if they attack Myanmar, America's not getting involved. It's the much safer option for them, because they're a bunch of cowards. Cowards. Fucking come and get me the moment you have a problem with me. I'm sick and tired of waiting. You got people running all the fuck around. You can do whenever the fuck you feel like it. Grow some balls. Anyway. So all this messaging all at once in January. And part of the messaging was that the Chinese had brokered a peace deal between Tatmadaw and MDNA and this other group that I can't remember the name at the moment. No. And then the next day, these Shan groups attacked and took the city of Namsong near Laisho. Taunji. Near Taunji. So my own personal experience, the news is full of shit, so I go to places and verify with my own eyes and ears rather than listen to the news. I head off into the fucking mountains. Because the thing is, Namsong has an air base, and it's like military strategy 101. You never withdraw and leave behind a fucking air base without destroying it beyond recognition, because everybody's got forces that their whole job is to rebuild airfields as fast as possible. Like, you've got to completely fucking destroy an airfield to take it out, and you never let an airfield fall into the hands of the enemy. And if China's plan is to take a corridor across Myanmar, basically splitting the north from the south, they would do that because they can't stand up to the Kachin, and the Kachin will not side with China to take Myanmar territory. Fucking never. The Kiyin won't either, right? The Shan are the only ones that their relationship to China is a lot closer because they haven't been in Myanmar long enough. Anyway, I head up in the mountains. I didn't make it 100%, but within safe places, talking to people that I trusted, was able to confirm that it was all lies, that the airfield, thank God, was not lost. But that was in February, right? With all these other months, and all these stories don't stop about this fucking Brotherhood of Three. But keep in mind, Brotherhood of Three is victory for China, right? If you support Tatmadaw or you support whatever rebel groups, support the rebel groups independently based on what they stand for and the precedent of, right? The Kachin are very well known for morality in their warfare. don't side with the fucking Chinese and give them the goddamn world, right? Don't listen to the propaganda proliferating out of China about this Brotherhood of Three and these goddamn cesspools of filth along the border that's controlled by the CCP anyway, via the triads. I realize most people in the world can't head up in the fucking mountains of Myanmar when they feel like it to verify this shit. So I'm trying to give some source, as to this is what's going on in the information wars in the theater of Myanmar. And if China does attack, my personal point is all Myanmar need to temporarily forget their problems, make sure the Chinese never invade Myanmar ever again, right? Kick their ass so fucking bad they can't think about it, and then go back to fighting each other when it's done, because Myanmar's just warrior people, right? Always has been, always will be. That's one of the unique things of this bubble in time. Right? Myanmar's like the land before time. That's why I love it so much.